What's it going to take to lead Huntsville's top industries into the future? Join me as I chat with leaders in our city about workplace culture, attracting top talent, and maintaining a competitive edge. I'm James Lomax, and this is Uncommon Access. Today, we're talking with Katelyn Sides-Baker, Program Director for Leadership Greater Huntsville, about how workplace communities can be built through servant leadership programs. All right, Katelyn Sides-Baker, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. We're super excited. I know when we were kicking off this season, we wondered about how to get some people that are super involved in the community in here and some people that are helping train the next generation of leaders and all the great things that are happening in this community kind of culminate with some of the things that you do in your role at Leadership Greater Huntsville. Correct. So a lot of people in our audience are probably familiar with Leadership Greater Huntsville, but maybe just take a second to tell who is Leadership Greater Huntsville?
Yeah, so we hear that actually often sometimes, like, I've heard of leadership, like, what do you guys do? So in our mission, we talk about identifying, educating, inspiring, and connecting leaders in our community. And we do that through a variety of different programs. We have programs for mid-career to upper career professionals. We have programs for young professionals. We have a college student program. We have a 2-day program that's kind of a short kind of scraping the top of the cake type program. And we even have a program for managers and supervisors here in the area.
So it's really like a training ground for leaders then. It's all programs that are, I guess, cultivated and created just to help do those things that you mentioned, help inspire them, help educate them, help connect them.
Right.
And then what is the value proposition after that? What are they to do afterwards?
Right. So that's kind of then when the Alumni Association kind of steps in. So the value in going through these programs is think about the power, the impact that it has when you have a group of leaders in the community, right? Movers and shakers, CEOs, vice presidents, young professionals who are really engaged, who get involved in these programs, go through, see different things happening in our community, great things happening, and maybe some pain points too, right? We cover also what I like to call pillar topics in our community, whether that's education, public safety, healthcare, all of these really important things that hold up our community. And we cover these topics, at least through our flagship and connect program, we cover these topics through 10 months, right? So you have an opening retreat, a closing retreat, and the other months in between there, we spend a full day, a 12-hour day normally. You're on a bus, you're going around our city, even around our region, talking with leaders, seeing things hands-on. We take people onto the Arsenal. You'd be surprised at how many people in Huntsville have never been onto the Arsenal. I know I hadn't until I went through our Connect program. And so educating the up-and-coming leaders and our current leaders on what's happening in our community, and then afterwards they go and they get plugged into something that really kind of lit a fire in them, right? Our flame is the logo, right? So they go through our programs, they see something where they're like, I want to make a change there, or I want to help fill that gap. And think about the power that happens when people go through our programs and then go back into our community and fill that gap.
Absolutely. So a lot to unpack there. I'm going to take it step by step. But so you threw out a lot of different program names. You said you went through Connect. You said something about a flagship.
Yeah.
You said you train managers. Can you just kind of unpack and tell the audience what your programs are and what the purpose of each of them are? Because I guess people hear leadership, you think it's just the leadership program, but you have subsets for different demographics, I guess.
That's correct. So our signature program that's been around for over 35 years is our flagship program. And that's what I like to call for our mid-career, upper career professionals, anybody in any field, right? Like it doesn't have to just be DOD or manufacturing. And we purposely want, when we do our applications, we want it to be a diverse class, obviously in demographics, but also in the industry that are represented, because that's when the healthcare professionals need to be talking to the DOD contractors and the manufacturing contract. You know, they all need to have those conversations that become that much more powerful. So our flagship program is for that mid-upper career, and it's also a 10-month program. Our Connect program is also 10 months, and it's for the young professional. And we do get asked sometimes, what's the age on that? Like, have I aged out of the young professional program? I just say 40 and below. Okay. 40 and below is our young professional program. I actually did it 5 years ago, loved it. I still talk to a lot of the people in my class. And the connections you make over those 10 months with those people, because you're bonding on such a deep level on all of those program days. I mean, it's really special. There's nothing like that else in town where you can bond with people in a way like that. So it's really powerful. Another program we have is called Management Academy, and that's our local MBA is what we like to call it. And so if you're looking to maybe get promoted into a manager role or maybe just refresh your skills, you're already in a manager role, Management Academy is perfect for you. It's a 10-month program, and they have days focused on finance and operations, culture and ethics, communication. So a lot of different topics that are important to managers. They cover that over 10 months. They bring in some outside speakers, but a lot of them are local speakers, especially with Huntsville. You know, Huntsville's a unique place, right? So bringing in these local leaders who are doing things really well at maybe a finance or operations level at their company and hearing what they're doing, that'd be pretty impactful for you as a manager at your company to know about, right?
Yeah, and it seems like even just a networking piece of that too.
Oh, for sure.
Then you have other people to ping ideas off of. You know, if I went through this unique challenge, maybe I learned how to handle it in Management Academy, but then I need help actually going through the process. Maybe then I have some peers or even uppers that I can bounce those ideas off of.
That's correct.
That's in the alumni base. So do you guys try to work on that and foster those kind of things?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's where our alumni association is so powerful. We have over 4,000 people in our area who've gone through leadership programs since we were established 35 years ago. So just that network alone is, you know, going to be a lot of people in the community that you can reach out, connect to, contact. That'll be more than happy to help you. And then going back to, there's 2 other programs too I wanted to touch base. So Focus is our 2-day program. So a lot of the topics we cover in Flagship and Connect, like public safety, education, health and wellness, iHeart HSV. We have like a Living Like a Local Day. You'd be surprised too at how many people haven't done some local touristy things here and like why that's important, especially in our economy and things like that. But we cover all those topics, but in 2 days. So we kind of shrink 10 months into 2 days because sometimes people are like, oh, 10 months, I'm not sure yet. But normally once they go through Focus, our 2-day program, they're like, oh, for sure,
kind
sign
of a
me
good
up.
teaser trailer.
Yes.
Get them interested.
Yeah, they're like, for sure, sign me up. And then, so we also created last year Spark, which is kind of like a mini Connect. It's 1 week long. It's held in August, and it's for college students. Because what are we doing? And I kind of saw this gap when I was at a previous role. What are we doing in the community to really engage our local and regional college students, and even college students outside our region, outside the state, who've heard of Huntsville? I mean, Huntsville's number one, right? The best place to live.
Yeah, USA Today and World Report.
Yeah,
number
I mean,
one.
that's a big deal. So what are we doing? You know, these college students are looking at Huntsville. They see our economy. They see the jobs that we have available. So what are we doing to even attract them here and say, hey, let us kind of show you around Huntsville and why you should consider this? And that's what we kind of do with Spark.
Yeah, you know, when I was that age and going through all those kind of decisions, I remember it was kind of like, you know, there's those cities that are glittering lures to younger people like Nashville, and you think of, you know, or Atlanta or even Birmingham to some degree. But the thing that I really liked about Huntsville is you could help build the culture.
Yes.
And now it seems like, you know, here, not really just 10 years later, there already is a culture now. Now there is, it is starting to become an attraction for young people.
Right.
You know, we've always had the reliable jobs in the economy, but now we're actually have some of those quality of life things like an amphitheater and, you know, baseball stadium and the things that keep people and help them grow families here in the area.
I agree.
So I'm sure that when big things happen in the community, it seems like leadership's always somewhat involved in it. Can you think of any? You mentioned pillars earlier, pillar issues in the community. Is that what the term you used?
Yeah, different pillar topics.
So kind of dive into that a little bit. You know, I know that our area has some challenges. How can leadership help address them?
So we do a variety of different things to kind of bring to light. And that's one thing that we love to do at leadership. One thing that we hear all the time is, gosh, I just had no idea. I had no idea this was happening here, or I had no idea this was going on, or that these different initiatives or things were in place, right? And that's what we try to do is kind of peel back the curtain and show people, look at all the kind of these back gears moving. Because that's one thing that's made our city so successful is that you do have a lot of people working well together, right? In our city, across the region, that's really helped just the North Alabama region grow like it has. But one thing that we do is all in our flagship program and Connect programs, we actually do small group projects. So that might be the pop-up park that's over there behind Humphreys. That was actually a LGH small group project. Okay. Rocket City Chef, if if you still remember that event.
Yeah.
It was a small group project. We actually had a recent class do a development on mental health for teachers, and it's a free software and platform for teachers to use as far as checking in on their mental health. So we have 10 to 15 different small group projects that our class members do. They identify a need in our community and address a way to kind of help that need. And then we also do community conversations, which are events I host through our alumni association. Those are open to anybody in our community to attend, not only our alumni. And for example, the one coming up next is about affordable housing here.
Yeah, major issue.
Yes,
Yeah,
affordable housing, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, our housing costs, it's great people want to move here, but what are we also doing to just address the affordable housing
Make it
issue?
possible. Yeah.
Right, make it possible. That's a great word for it.
Yeah.
So we do things like that. And then also we do these reboot days where we try to focus on a topic that maybe we don't cover in our programs that needs to be addressed. So for example, we did a manufacturing day where we went and talked with local manufacturers, everything from workforce to touring the facilities. We covered it all across the topics that day.
So, I mean, then I guess through those conversations, is that how you find out what needs actually even need to be addressed? There's so many issues in our community that kind of rise and fall, in importance. How do you know what to target and hone in on?
Right, great question. So some of our programs, we cover, specific topics through those. And that's where with alumni, I kind of get to dive into maybe these topics that are, important right now are being heavily discussed in the community. How can leadership get involved and get our leaders in our alumni association involved, right? Nonprofits will reach out to us about specific needs they have. We also do a leaders on board event where we have nonprofits come in, kind of pitch real quick who they are and what they're looking for board positions to connect. So maybe they need a finance person or a marketing person on their board. So we help connect our alumni to nonprofits looking to fill specific board positions. And then we also do 2 big volunteer days a year, one in June and then one in December, where we combine 10, 15 nonprofits and do volunteer shifts throughout the day. And we get our alumni and we just go all volunteer for one day with like hands-on projects.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just some of the things that we do.
Yeah. So you've been there a little while now, kind of dive into your history there and what are some of the things that you work on each and every day and about how many people work at leadership and what are their different roles? Yeah.
So I've been at leadership for just over a year. Love it. I joke with my boss that I'm retiring there. I have found my home. I love what I get to do. I don't even view it as work. Like, it's so much fun what I get to do. I like that I get to create the events and kind of get to have my fingers on the pulse of things happening in our community, and then can come up with an idea for a community conversation or a reboot day or whatever that looks like. I love that I also had the opportunity to create the Spark program. So I oversee that every year. I love working with college students.
Program, yeah.
Yes, okay. They're so fun, college students. Like, they're so smart, and seeing their responses on their applications, like this younger generation, because now I'm like, oh yeah, they're like 10 years younger
TikTok,
than me.
Yeah,
it's fine. TikTok, all these things, all these like lingo terms they use. I'm trying to be cool. I got to get cool before August. Yeah.
1,000%.
But I love working with them. And especially, they just, I don't know, they just see the world through kind of a different lens. And I love that about working with that age group, and really showing them also Huntsville, especially when I remember I had college students last year with our first program. We did a walking art tour downtown who had never set foot in like the core of downtown, who are going to school here locally. Wow. Right. And even during their graduation ceremony, so many of them were like, I was thinking about leaving Huntsville, but I'm staying now. Our city's awesome. We're doing great things. We work together. It was just really impactful. So I oversee the alumni program, the Spark program, which I just spoke about, and then Focus.
So let's hit on that college program just real quick. I mean, how do you identify these students? I guess they go through an application process. I mean, how do you pick basically who's going to be that next generation of leaders? Right.
So we advertise the applications. Really, I was running ads, working with different college reps and the career services across the state. We have students in this upcoming Spark class from Clemson University, University of Colorado Boulder. There's one from Emory-Riddle based in Arizona. So we are getting students from literally across the country who want to learn more about Huntsville.
Wow.
Go through this program. Obviously, we have a lot from our local colleges too, Alabama A&M, UNA, UAH, Calhoun, Drake. So I think there's 13 different colleges or universities represented in this upcoming class.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, like, are those students that are far away, is there some kind of remote component, or are they coming into town
They're coming into town,
Wow.
which is something I'll be looking at next year is kind of like a housing
Sure.
lodging sponsor, because this is our first year to have out-of-state students. This is only our second year with the program anyway, but seeing the potential this has to reach students who are like, hey, I've heard of Huntsville, I'm coming there after graduation. Hey, why not come learn about our community first, right?
Well, and it can't hurt that, then after they graduate from that program, then they're in this alumni society that is, well-connected, and
Yes.
The employers and people that make hiring and firing decisions, in our market. And,
Exactly.
That would probably be an incredible thing to have on the resume as they
Exactly.
get started in the world. So I think that's just fantastic. I think you hit on some of those small group projects.
Yeah.
That some people may not even be aware that spun off from leadership. What are some things you can think of that have come because leadership saw a need and put it out into the world?
Ooh, great question.
Yeah.
Really our organization forming, which there's a group of leadership organizations, right? Like there's a Leadership Birmingham, Leadership Nashville. But kind of what all started all of these, kind of spun all of these off, was a really tragic airplane accident. It was 30, 40 years ago, maybe. In Atlanta, there's a group of CEOs and community leaders on a plane to a conference somewhere. Unfortunately, the plane crashed. And so Atlanta, obviously 30, 40 years ago, was much smaller than it is today. But the gap that left in the community, and what have we done to educate other leaders, up-and-coming leaders, current leaders on things happening in the community so people can step in and fill those roles, right? And so that's kind of where the leadership organization got started. And I think that since our, beginning 35 years ago here in Huntsville, just the impact of these different projects coming out, different nonprofits have been started. Even the Give 256 nonprofit was started out of, I think, a small group project. Huh. But there's so many things that maybe I don't even know about because, I've been on there just over a year. But the impact on nonprofits, on people, maybe, Ryan Renaud went through my class and he ran for school board, right? So people seeing maybe Education Day, maybe it was something on Education Day that he saw that was like, you know what? I want to get involved in our school systems. How can I make a difference? How can I make a change? And I think it's kind of lighting that fire, lighting that spark in people that then go back into the community and do good. Because we do joke that, you drink the Kool-Aid, right, with leadership. You love it. You want to stay involved. You want to stay plugged in because it really is like if you're looking to get involved and you're like, what's my first step? Leadership Greater Huntsville is the perfect first step to be like, okay, this is it. I'm going to get involved.
So how do you talk and how do you reach? And you raise a great point. I have coworkers that went through leadership. I haven't been through leadership, but I've got coworkers and they love to throw out their class name and all kinds of crazy stuff. Ever. So that, I guess every class is the best class ever. It sounds like.
That's right.
So a lot of people are wondering that you employ or you have a lot of employers that are participating in leadership, Huntsville, and a lot of them have come out of this COVID crisis where they have not been able to mentor their employees as they probably wanted to. What are some of the things you saw that were different during COVID? I mean, have companies looked at how they're training people differently? Yeah,
I would say that companies are looking at how they're training people. And something, too, that I think, in my opinion, I think companies need to focus on right now, just as much as recruiting to fill all those open jobs, is also retaining the talent that they have. If not even putting more effort into retaining, right? Because, there's, what's it called, the Great Resignation this year and all of those things. But one thing, this sounds kind of salesy, but if you just relocated somebody here that's not from Huntsville and you're like, we have this great talent we just hired, we really need them to get engaged and learn about Huntsville and Madison County and love our area, please send them through a leadership program. Yeah. What a better way to get them, just throw them in the deep end, right? Like, hey, you're going to go do this 10-month program, learn about our community. You're going to get networked with so many people in your class and in the alumni association. So that's kind of one thing that I think companies need to really focus on right now is retaining some of the talent that you already have.
So how do you hit on just that? Somebody that may be a naysayer, maybe say, well, not everybody's meant to be a leader kind of thing. Is there a response back to that? Is there still value they can attain from a program such as leadership?
Oh, for sure. And the thing is with leadership, yes, we are educating, identifying, inspiring, connecting leaders, but a leader might look different to you than what a leader looks like to me, right? And that's why I talked a little bit about our application process is we want a diverse group of individuals, not only in the individuals themselves, but also in the industries. We want the nonprofits. We want the manufacturers, the DOD, the Arsenal, teachers. We have a lot of educators go through our program. So we purposely with this selection process want a great diverse group of candidates, of attendees that go through the program, just so those connections are that much more powerful. Say, hey, I know Christy Finley. I can call her up now and ask her about this or that, or, whatever that may be. It's because you're going to have that personal connection with those people.
Yeah, I think that goes a long way, and it kind of gets back to what you were saying about the alumni database and all the value there.
Right.
So, Katelyn, how would you say that economic development impacts our community? Through Leadership Huntsville, it seems like economic development is probably a pretty big part of what is discussed,
yes.
especially throughout the alumni. And we've seen just how Huntsville's grown in general. Has the growth of Huntsville also impacted the growth of leadership?
Yes, some. We do keep it to 54 candidates for our 10-month programs, and then we do my focus program twice a year. And we also try to limit that just because we have two reasons for that. One, 54 people can fit on a charter bus, and we have a charter bus for every program day. Two is that you also want it to be an intimate group, right? Like you want to be able to make those connections because you have 10 months together, but really you have 15 full days with these people over those 10 months. So how are you creating those connections and having those conversations? And if the group's too big, that might not happen. And we want them to connect with all of their class members. And so economic development, we spend a whole day talking about this, right? Because I really like to compare economic development to kind of like a domino effect, right? This is something really great. We just maybe brought in this new company. Okay, well, then we need to fill the jobs. And then once we fill the jobs, we need to retain them here. And right, and it's a big domino effect. We need to get them involved in the community. What are we as a company doing to be involved in the community? So, and that's where, Leadership Greater Huntsville, we do play a big part in that and getting companies engaged, getting employees engaged, talking about different things, economic development topics in the community. And that, like I said, we spend a whole day on economic development in our programs. So getting to kind of, like I said, peek behind the curtain and see what are some of the moving parts and things that are happening.
How it happens, yeah.
Yeah, how does it happen? We even did a whole project simulation, like when the chamber is pitching projects or project proposals and things like that to companies, bids, like what does that look like? Like how do we get state incentives, city incentives, like going through that process? We did that with our Connect program because, even before I worked at the chamber, I had no idea what that looked like,
sure.
right?
So you guys, leadership seems like bounces around a lot of different locations to expose people to parts of Huntsville they may have never known about. We definitely appreciate here. It seems like leadership goes to Rocket City Tavern a lot. That's here at Redstone Gateway. So that's my shameless plug right there. So we're very happy with that. But what are some other locations that you try to take some of these classes through?
So we love Eulista's new space here at Redstone Gateway.
Absolutely.
Great location. Love it. Their new conference rooms are beautiful. They're fantastic to work with, and they let us, as nonprofits, we use their space for free.
Awesome.
Which is great for nonprofits. I feel like we're always on the hunt to find some free space. But, I remember one of my favorite days when I went through the Connect program was the Public Safety Day. Getting to go to the police academy, actually put on a firefighter suit and chopped wood with oxygen on and everything. I was like, this is really hard. But even just like my entire perspective changed that day, right? On like first responders and things like that. And I loved also the education day, walking through our schools. I don't have children yet, have one on the way. But, I had never really engaged with our school systems before. And so getting to talk with teachers, talk with, school board members, talk with superintendents, even just walking through the schools and seeing how teachers are interacting with students and things like that was so much fun. So depending on the topic of the day, we also do a DE&I day. We do human services. So we go to different nonprofits in town. We literally take you all over Huntsville, Madison County, and even out to our surrounding areas too, because we are Leadership Greater Huntsville, right?
Sure.
Our region is
so like Scottsboro, or
Decatur, Athens. Okay. So we cover a lot of different areas around town.
Well, and it seems like too, I mean, it's really that old mantra of walking a day in someone's shoes, right? So you go and you try to do these different days so that maybe somebody comes out, maybe they have a little bit more empathy. Like, wow, I didn't realize
Right.
teachers had to deal with that every day, or I didn't know the firefighter uniform was that heavy, for instance.
But imagine the power and impact that has when you have a group of
Yeah.
engaged leaders, individuals, CEOs, whatever you want to
And
call
maybe
it.
out of their wheelhouse. Yeah,
Right. That then are made aware of this,
Sure.
that then can then go act and make a difference in our community.
that's fantastic. So I'd assume that you would have a lot of different speakers that come through leadership.
Oh, yeah.
As one of the big things, different promoters of different organizations, or even just there to talk about a topic. Would have been some of your favorites?
Oh, gosh. I do love to hear John Kavach talk about the Singing River Trail. That's kind of fun because that's a really cool regional effort, right? We love...
We may need to get John on the podcast.
Hey.
Yeah, it's very cool.
He's a fun speaker. We had the emergency room department's director speak on a panel from Crestwood, and he was fascinating to hear. We also had a previous med flight aviator. I don't know their official title. Pilot. That's a great word. Pilot. Speak, and hearing his perspective on like how they covered our area.
Wow.
And like make decisions, and do you fly during a storm? Do you not fly? Just fascinating, right?
Yeah, life or death, I'd assume.
Yeah, and even when I went through the Connect program, we actually got to walk through the NICU.
Wow.
So that was also very impactful for me. So, gosh, great speakers. We obviously always include both our mayors here and commissioner in a lot of different topics. You know, and we cover everything. So, I mean, you can throw a dart almost, and you're going to hit possibly a speaker we've had. So,
who's been the funniest speaker, you'd say?
oh, the funniest speaker? Oh, gosh.
Most laughs.
Most laughs. Oh, man. I kind of want to say John Kavach is pretty funny.
Really? Okay.
He's pretty funny.
History professor.
But also another fascinating speaker is Deputy Chief McCarver.
Really?
We are really lucky as a city to have him here, and he talks to you on such an honest, open level about police topics, right, which can be really heavy. And gosh, he's just great. I mean, when my Sparkers, I call them my Sparkers students, heard from him last year, they just could have listened to him all day.
Wow.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think especially in the world we live in right now, you know, a lot of people could use that day in somebody else's shoes, especially in the service industries. I know,
Exactly.
You know, I was just at the U.S. Army War College going through a national security seminar, a little week-long program, and one of it is any service-related industry in America right now is having super tough time recruiting and retaining.
Oh, yeah.
And part of that is because a lot of people have the expectation coming out of college that they're going to be able to work remote their whole life and have this different kind of lifestyle. So they're not looking at, you know, being a cop or a teacher or a military personnel, because those jobs could never be remote, no matter how you did them.
Right.
And so I think there's a serious cultural shift going on in the country right now. And I didn't know if leadership had talked about how to get those people in service roles.
Ooh, we haven't necessarily addressed that, but with the Spark program, so the majors of these students are all across the board. We have nursing, we have, of course, engineering, we have cosmetology, another role, obviously, that can't be done fully remote. There was a variety of different majors that we have there. But one thing, too, that we're looking at bringing back is our high school program. We used to do one, I think it was called Challenge, and it was 10 plus years ago. And we're actually looking at bringing that back, because that's also something we could do with that program is, hey, look, if these high school students got the opportunity to spend the public safety day and interact, I mean, we're interacting with the canine units, right? The bomb dog Boomer, he is the cutest and sweetest lab mix, he's just the sweetest. I love him. So, the power of showing these high school students the different careers they could get into through our leadership programs, that would be really impactful, right? Yeah. So like I said, we are thinking about bringing that back. It's in the works.
Kind of like a career day thing, honestly. I mean, at the end of the day. And I think some of that, more of that needs to occur, just so people realize that everything's not all about necessarily money, for sure.
Right. And, that's one thing I feel like with our generation, and especially this generation younger than us, they want to work at a company that also identifies with their values, right? Yeah. Like, I want to work at a company that's doing good in the world.
Sure.
That cares about the community. Because, it's not all about money.
Yeah. No, you raised a great point. Katelyn, it's been an awesome conversation. What are some things that you just want to make sure you get across, or any points you didn't touch on?
So to find out anything more about leadership, our website's leadershiphsv.org. We have all of our social media channels out there too. We have a newsletter that goes out once or twice a month. So if you're wanting to get involved and kind of see what is this leadership thing, please come join us for one of our community conversations. Our reboot days too. Our reboot day is like a leadership program day. That's the perfect opportunity to come. Let me go see what this is all about before maybe I sign up.
Okay.
Applications for all of our programs open in the fall. So there's a lot of things coming up, and the best way to kind of stay up to date on all that is follow us on social and check out our website.
Fantastic. Thank you, Katelyn.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Uncommon Access. Our podcast is produced by Redstone Gateway, where the future works. You can find Uncommon Access on major podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play. You can find out more about Uncommon Access on redstonegateway.com/podcast.